Hello and welcome to this podcast by the European Commission's Translation Department. My name is Anna Holmén, and in this episode we will talk about the European Day of Languages and how best to celebrate it. My guest today is European Commission colleague and namesake Anna Solemena from the Directorate General of Education, Youth, Sport and Culture. Welcome. Anna, you are passionate about languages, and that is how you ended up in your current job. Could you tell us a bit more about what you do?
Yes, indeed. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So we have a double aim, I would say, in my department. First, to raise the bar in language learning. And second, make sure that we continue to protect linguistic diversity in Europe. So what do I mean by raising the bar? There is a European objective, which is a little bit of an aspirational goal, which is that every European youth should finish secondary school knowing very well the language of schooling, +2, to some extent at least. So are we there? No, not yet. But we are getting there. We had the Eurobarometer, that's a European survey last year, and we were asking young people from 15 into adulthood if they could have a conversation in another language. And 4/5 of the youth said yes, that they thought they could. So it's not too bad.
So things are going forward.
Things are going forward, yes. It increased 9 percentage points since the last time we asked them, which was 12 years ago. So yeah, we are not there, but we are getting there. Now, how we are doing that? So we are working with member states and with researchers on what works best, what are best practices, try to spread them. That's on one hand what we do. And then the other thing that is very important, we have a program, Erasmus+, that allows us to motivate people into wanting to speak languages and actually practice them in two ways. First, it allows them to be mobile, so to visit other European countries, to study or to do traineeships, and that already from a very early age, because Erasmus Plus, now we call it Plus because it's open to all students of all sorts and from primary already until university or, as I said, youth exchanges, whatever. And so they can be mobile, they can practice the language, they can learn it by practice it in other European countries, that's one thing. And we can also fund cooperation projects. So for instance, schools can talk to each other about common goals and can have common projects and talk to each other, I don't know, every week or every, I don't know how much about that. And that's again a concrete way in which they can practice languages and also open their horizons and see how they could have maybe an international experience later on.
Yeah, of course, because Erasmus, I think, as it used to be called, it's mostly known for the university exchanges, but it's actually much more than that for teachers and so on.
Yes, exactly. So that's how it started, and a lot of us we had this life-changing experience. But now we thought it's something that should reach much farther. So as I said, it starts already at primary. Teachers also can go on shadowing jobs or on a trip with their classes, or whatever, like there are a lot of different ways in which you can experience it, and it's also extremely useful for them. And language teachers are the teachers that travel the most with their classes, probably because they already speak the foreign languages. And yes, they always say that it's super enriching for them. They come back to their school with a lot of different things they can implement and discuss with colleagues. And it's enriching not just for the teacher that does the mobility, but for the whole school afterwards.
Excellent. So go to the web page of Erasmus Plus and see what the options are. And you yourself, Anna, how did you discover languages?
This is a passion. I think you are born with it, no? So I was always super interested in languages, and I did an Erasmus Plus during my university studies.
Where did you go?
I went to France. So I was studying in Barcelona, that's where I'm from. And I went to France for 1 year. At the time it was possible to go for a full year. and yeah, it changed my life really,
Yes.
because I knew then that I wanted an international career.
And that brings us, of course, to reasons to study languages. There's a long list of reasons why you should study languages. So I thought we could go through them. Is there any that comes to your mind to begin with?
Oh, yeah. So mobility, as I was saying, is the first. So the possibility, and this at European level is very important, to work, study, or just live in any other European country. As European citizens, we can do that, but we need to know the language of the place we are going, or we are going to be a little lonely probably, and we will not be able to do much. So that is one thing. And then the most important there, I would say, is employability.
Yes.
This is usually again, if I go back to the Eurobarometer, and when we ask citizens, what do you think is the main benefit of knowing languages? They say, well, I can work in another country. That was 51%, for instance, who answered that. Or others who said, I can have a better job in my country. I think that was like 41%. Or I can have a job where I can travel and interact more with other countries. So employability was a big one. And then there's the one that scores second, and is super important as well, is knowing other cultures. And
Yes.
that is also very important in the European context, no? Because if you go to another country, it's not just that you need the language, you need to understand each other. We need to work together on things. So, and I think that for those of us, because you are also very passionate about languages, who love this, it's something that comes to us spontaneously. Like, I really want to discover this language, but there's a whole culture attached to that, and so it's going to open the door to a new world.
That's really the human aspect of learning languages, the culture and the history and the country and the people that are linked to the language. It's not just the grammar and then the vocabulary, but there is so much more. And that is also having an extra language on your CV. That is what might make the difference between you and another candidate. It makes your
Absolutely.
CV stronger so that you can have that career that you were talking about. And if we're talking about culture and also the connections to people, there is this famous quote that always comes up by Nelson Mandela. He didn't actually put it like that, but that was kind of the message of this conversation he had about languages. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart.
Absolutely.
So that really makes a difference. There is something about your own language, whether it's your mother tongue or your strongest language. As you said, the strongest language might be the school language rather than the mother tongue, but that is something that is deep within you. And as we know, when you travel, when as a tourist, if you can just say a few words, you know, you see how people start smiling. It means something to them. I read this fantastic study once about bilingual couples, whether they say, I love you in their own language or in the language of their partner. And apparently most of them said it in their first strongest language because they felt then it really feels like I mean it. But there was an exception. There was an exception, a man who said, no, I always say it in her language because it's like a gift to her.
Yeah.
So, that has really stayed with me, that the conclusions of that study.
Language is very linked to identity, to a sense of belonging. No, like somebody is talking your language to you, it's like, okay, it's part of my group somehow, or he's trying to make way into my culture, and it's something people really appreciate. No?
Yeah, and which also makes a big difference also in your professional life. I have another quote there, which is from Willy Brandt, when he's talking about language learning. If I'm selling to you, I speak your language. If I'm buying, dann müssen Sie Deutsch sprechen.
Yes,
Then you have to be able to speak German. And that's another kind of professional connection. You show that you make an effort. It's not just about the personal connections, but also the professional ones.
And the customer will be more likely to buy if that person has made the effort. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always appreciated.
Yeah.
There's even another advantage that is perhaps that comes maybe less to mind, but it's an excellent exercise for the brain as well. And we know it can delay the onset of Alzheimer's, etc. So, it's also this personal growth kind of aspect that we can keep in mind.
Yeah, it's true. You have to make a cognitive effort.
Yes.
To speak another language.
And it develops a part of the brain that wouldn't be otherwise as developed as it is. So
yes.
It's a kind of...
And another thing that I think has become more important lately, it helps you to do fact-checking, because with all the information we're flooded with on the internet, and you get some news from another country, if you have another language, I mean, you can go check it in the original and
Absolutely.
see how was this reported, how was this reported from the perspective of your own country, but also from the perspective of this other country.
Absolutely. Great tool for critical thinking, which is... most important than ever in this time in which we are flooded with information, as you said. Yeah.
And then, of course, very, very important point, if you have small children, you can have a secret language with your partner so that the children don't understand. But
it's a cool one. It hasn't worked with me because my children grew up with 5 languages, and so... It's very hard to have a secret language in front of them, because they speak all the languages that I speak, but okay.
Yeah, true, and they very quickly learn the word for ice cream anyway, so...
Yeah, and the secret language with the partner is often one that they are going to be very attentive to, and so they will also learn it pretty fast. Yes. But it's a good thing, after all.
Yes.
It's another way to learn.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get more out of films and books if you know the original language. You know, you get sometimes they're untranslatable jokes or word plays, and if you can get them in the original language, there's nothing like understanding a joke for the first time in a language you're just learning.
It's amazing.
And you think it's the funniest joke ever, even if it's really, really simple.
Yeah, there's really an added value, just I cracked it.
Yes.
And on that, when I was telling you about this Eurobarometer that we published last year, one of the things we found out is that Europeans like it more and more to listen to original content in the original version. So the movies, the series, the music, all that, they are increasingly choosing to listen to the original version.
Ah, interesting.
And that is there are so many platforms now in which there is video content that it makes it also easier, no, to choose.
Yes.
Because traditionally you were watching TV in, like according to the country's custom, some countries were subtitling, some countries were dubbing, and that was that. But now you have more agency. You can choose, and in particular, the young are choosing original content.
Yeah, and also listening and reading the subtitles and listening in the same language, which is also
exactly, you can do that, and that is in itself a great way to improve your languages as well.
Yes.
Because you are training your ear and your your eyes in reading, so that is also
change the subtitles to a language you're learning.
That as well.
Yeah.
You can do both. Listen and watch the language you are learning, or you can have the help of using the subtitles in your own language. Both are great exercise.
Yeah. So this brings us back to the European Day of Languages, which falls on the 26th of September each year. And this year's slogan is about building bridges. So we have celebrated this day, European Day of Languages, since 2001. And EU institutions celebrate together with the Council of Europe, which is not an EU institution. We don't need to go into that now. But anyway, on the European Day of Languages, we cooperate. What can we look forward to this September? Because we are celebrating throughout September, not just on the day. But on the day, what happens then?
I mean, we are, and there are lots of things going on. So as you said, we have launched the European Day of Languages 25 years ago with the Council of Europe. We cooperate a lot with the Council of Europe, actually, on language learning, because we have the same aims, really. And then both institutions are cooperating in some of the things we are organizing and some we are doing separately. At the Commission, we have 3 departments that are very much engaged in languages in different manners. So there's my Directorate General, Education and Culture. But then there is yours, Director General for Translation, and the Director General for Interpretation.
Yes.
We are all three working on languages in different ways, and we join forces every year to celebrate the Day of Languages. And this year, we are going to do something quite special. We are going to have a virtual event in which you can walk around with your avatar and see through the exhibition hall what are the different things that the Commission does for language learning, for interpretation, for translation. We will have a session which will be on precisely building bridges.
We will hear from people who have language careers that are a little bit different from the traditional ones, new ways, new jobs, new professions where you use languages as well. And this, of course, is an online event, but we have lots of events around Europe in different member states, because in DG Translation, we have one, we call it field officer, a language officer in each capital of each member state, except Luxembourg and Brussels, where we have our headquarters. But our language officers, they are organizing a range of fun activities, a lot for schools and teachers, universities, but also for a general public who are interested in languages. So there are quizzes with fascinating facts about languages. Some are online, some are, in a pub quiz. And then there are many courses on languages, so-called speak dating, flirt with languages. You learn, you get a little bit of introduction to a language. And in some member states, you can also test translation and interpretation. And can you guess what is happening in France?
No, what is happening in France?
A dictation, a dictée.
Yes, okay.
But it's not just France, but there is a dictation in other languages, so German, English, Spanish, and Italian. How would you celebrate? If you can't be part of this, how would you recommend that someone would celebrate the European Day of Languages?
So they should inscribe for our virtual event that we are celebrating on the 26th itself from 9 o'clock, but it will be all day and you can walk around in your avatar. And then at 10, we will have a roundtable and we are going to talk to several experts on the topic of, is it still relevant to learn languages in this current world where we have AI, we have so many tools that can do automatic translation, etc. Are they still relevant? And of course, we're going to see that they are still very relevant. We will talk to experts on IT tools perfectly.
What a spoiler, precisely. Anna. What a spoiler.
And they will tell us how these things are evolving. Also how, these tools are very useful also for language learning. So there is a very positive thing there. I mean, they are complementary to the human knowledge, but they are not yet substituting it. There are still a lot of areas for which the humans and knowing languages are important.
Yeah, good suggestion. And maybe you can speak another language the whole day, or you can follow the news in another language. Why don't you switch on another channel and see if that rusty old whatever language you learned many years ago is still there. And every year we produce a poster, European Day of Language poster, which you can order online and decorate, for example, a classroom in your school if you're a teacher or a student, or even at home.
Absolutely. And not just the poster. If you go to the EDL page of the Council of Europe, notably, they have quizzes, they have games, they have a whole pack for the 2025 anniversary, in which they are, for instance, asking schools if they want to participate in a little contest, singing the EDL song that has been prepared for this year, or drawing a poster themselves, or, many other little challenges that can be done individually or with schools, for instance.
And then, of course, I would also like to mention our yearly translation contest, Juvenes Translatores. Schools can register to take part in this translation competition during the month of September until mid-October. So check that out as well if you are a language teacher.
Something else that they can do is visit our European School Education platform. It has a lot of resources for teachers on many topics, but also on languages. There are free courses, there are articles on the latest research, things like that. So that's also one for teachers in particular to visit. And within the platform, we have the eTwinning component, which helps teachers be in touch with each other. And for instance, one of the groups on eTwinning is the multilingualism group. It's all teachers that are passionate about multilingualism, and they work on lots of different projects and activities.
Excellent. If you are listening, if you have any ideas for how to learn languages, any clever tricks that you use yourself, we're always happy to hear from you. So thank you very much, Anna Solimena, and thank you for listening. Stay in touch and share your thoughts and questions on Instagram or Facebook at Translating for Europe. And don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast app to stay updated on EU multilingualism and translation topics. Until next time.